What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Pens and Tea. My name is Carrie, and today, oh baby, today we're gonna have a lot to talk about. Today I have probably one of the most anticipated videos that I have wanted to do for a very, very, very long time. An incredibly long time, because I have the Sailor ProGear King of Pens in my hands. That is a pen that I did not think I would have because it's a little out of the price range currently, but thank you to Emmy from Pen Venture. He sent me on loan the Sailor ProGear Slim and the Sailor ProGear King of Pens. The Sailor ProGear regular size I own. That is my pen that I purchased with my own money. But the other two were sent to me. I will send them back. So Emmy, thank you very much for trusting me with these, for allowing me to do this video that I've been wanting to do for so long. Oh my goodness gracious. If I ever get the ability to do it with a Mont Blanc and a Pelican as well, then I would just die and go to heaven. I would be so happy. But that is to say that today I'm very excited. So I'm going to flip the camera around in a second, and we're going to spend some time up close and personal with the Sailor ProGear Slim, the Sailor ProGear, and the Sailor ProGear King of Pens. I do have a review of each of these pens individually, so today we're primarily just going to go over some similarities and differences, obviously show you the size comparison, my thought of where, my personal favorite between the three of them are. If you've watched all of the individual reviews that I have posted up to this point, well, then you're probably already going to know which one I pick, or maybe not. I don't know, but maybe let me know in the comments down below if you were wrong and or right with your guess, because, oh baby, let's get into it. Starting from the left, the Sailor ProGear Slim. The middle is my Sailor ProGear, and then this demonstrator is the Sailor ProGear King of Pens. So you can see right off the bat a bit of a size comparison. I'm going to pull out some other goodies for you to sort of compare the sizes as well. So this is a Aurora Optima, and then probably the gold standard in any fountain pen comparison is the Pilot Metropolitan. So, a decent size. If I get out a little Pelican M200, you can pretty much see that if you've used a Pelican M200, then it's pretty darn similar in size to the Sailor ProGear Slim. So if you like the M200, and I believe the M400 is the same size, if you like those, then you're definitely going to like the Slim because they're almost identical in size. And I believe the grip section is pretty much the same too. So that is something to keep in mind because they're pretty similar. And then lastly for comparison, this is the Pelican M805 or the 800 series. Clearly this is a bigger pen. It's going to be bigger than both of the regular, but smaller than the King of Pen. It is a little heavier than the King of Pen, but just, to keep in mind for some other size comparisons. So yes, smallest, middle baby, big chunker. That's essentially the end takeaway of this video. And done. Thank you for watching. Bye. No, I'm kidding. The Slim is obviously the slimmest in both the body size and the girth. The ProGear is a little bit chunkier as far as the width, but really physically it's not that much larger than the Slim in length. And then the King of Pens is both. So if I uncap them, and I will post it just actually so it doesn't roll everywhere. If I uncap them all, then you'll start to see some other differences, obviously. Especially with that bad boy. Oh, baby. So let me see if I can zoom in here for you. Whoa! You can just see all the crap on my things here. The nib sizes are obviously different. Now with the King of Pens, this is a horse of a different color, clearly. But with the main two, I'm just going to move the King of Pens out of the way for a second. With the main two, I mean, to be fair, they're not super different. Obviously, the Slim is slightly smaller. The biggest difference is that the Slim is a 14 karat and the regular ProGear is a 21 karat. But in all honesty, there's not that much of a difference in the writing experience of them. In my humble opinion anyways, there really isn't. I would say the 21 karat is slightly more responsive than the 14, but I don't believe that that's because of the actual carat of the gold. I think it's just because the tines are slightly longer, and therefore you get slightly more of a bounce or a response to it. I truly believe that that is the only difference. Could I be wrong? Yes, always. But that's my opinion of them anyway. And I do have a hard medium and a medium fine, but for the most part, they actually write pretty close to each other. The grip sections on these two are pretty much the same. The ProGear, the Mocha version here, slightly larger, but basically the same. Now, if you want a chunkier experience, then you definitely, you definitely need to bring in the King of Pen. But again, that said, it's not a massive difference, but certainly enough that you can tell when you're writing, and it does make for a very comfortable, for me, very comfortable writing experience for long term. I did struggle when writing more than about 30 minutes with the ProGear Slim. My hand was fatiguing towards the end because I was having to hold on to the pen pretty tight, whereas I don't have that with the regular ProGear and certainly not with the King of Pen. Now, obviously the King of Pen, while being a 21 karat gold nib as well as the ProGear in the middle, it is obviously a mondo nib. I mean, the size difference alone is holy smokes. Look at that. It's basically equivalent to a number size 8 nib. It's massive. It does have Sailor's different motif on it, but it is just huge. And the response to this nib is insane, you guys. If you've watched the review I did of it by itself, it is absolutely banana cakes. When you are writing with it, I don't want to say bounce or the flex, because you don't necessarily have this be a flex pen, but the sort of shock absorber feel that you get like you would in a car is outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. So definitely something to keep your eye on. As far as the lengths of them all, I'm trying to hold them essentially so that they're all together here. The lengths of all the pens clearly get larger as you go up. Now, I will say in general, there's not a ton difference design-wise. They're all pretty much the same. The biggest difference, of course, is on the inside of the pen. You have a little bit of metal here, and then you do see the bulk of the proprietary Sailor cartridge. Whereas on the King of Pen, this takes forever to do here, and we will get into some writing in a moment. Have no fear. On the King of Pen, you definitely have much more metal to deal with. It extends out quite a lot, actually, and covers the entire cartridge or converter, but you do have a little ink window in here, which is really cool. Emmy has the red Sailor cartridge converter pen, cartridge converter, sorry. The regular one comes with black, but it is something to keep in mind. But other than that, the actual physical bodies are pretty much the same. You do get a different cap band on the King of Pen than you do the others. The King of Pen is basically chunkier, but there's more real estate to use, so it makes sense. But physically, for the most part, they're all the same. Design-wise, as far as like they're all the flat ends, they all have the same similar clip. They've all got that band. They all have the Sailor logo on the top. So really, it's just primarily the sizing and, of course, the writing experience. Now, before we get into the writing experience, my quick thoughts on which one is for me. I would say the Slim, not really for me. I mentioned in my review, I like it quite a bit, and I like it for quick notes here and there. But like I said, for my journaling sessions, which is primarily what I use my fountain pens for, I'm usually journaling for more than 30 minutes. So unless I can find a special edition Slim that the design of the pen is really stunning and really captures me, I don't think I would get a Slim. I wouldn't go out of my way not to, but like I said, I would have no problem waiting until I saw one that I really, really liked visually, and then I would purposely use it for when I knew my session would be a little bit shorter. Now, obviously, I own this pen, so I like it quite a bit. I think that this is definitely the one that most people would be the most comfortable with. It is the middle of the road. It is larger, obviously, than the Slim, so it does fit much more comfortably in my hand. I don't fatigue when I use it, and it is simply stunning, this mocha finish, because I'm a sucker for brown. So obviously I like it quite a bit, and I don't plan on selling it anytime soon. I did also have this nib tuned from the Toronto Pen Company, so I really, really like it. And I think that this one primarily is my go-to Sailor pen. So I would definitely recommend this one. And to be fair, this is the one that I would choose out of the three as my favorite, despite the fact that this Sailor ProGear King of Pens writes much, much nicer than these two. Because, and again, if you'll see in a minute, but if you've watched my actual reviews of, the response that you get with this nib is absolutely mind-blowing. The best way I can describe it is like a shock absorber on your car. It just bounces with you. It's not a flex pen, putting that out there right now, but it bounces with you, and it just is so smooth, so wet, so stunning. But it's simply just out of my price range. So if money was no object, then yes, okay, I would purchase the Sailor ProGear King of Pens. Will I buy one down the road? Potentially, yes. If I can ever find either a good deal or have a lot of cash on hand for funsies, then yes, I would. I would want to get one of the maybe like special edition versions. But yes, I definitely would, because this writes unlike any other pen that I have. So let's actually get out some paper, shall we? And we will take a little tour. So we're going to start with the Slim here. So this pen writes really well. No hard starts, no skips, and that's the same across the board. It is a perfectly tuned nib. It writes under its own weight, which is awesome. No real line variation to be had. You mostly just get some ink pooling. It's a fairly stiff nib. But still, I like it. The ink, by the way, in case you're wondering, is Colorverse HST. I like it quite a bit. Not a super gusher of a pen. It is a little drier than I would like, but it's by no means a dry writing pen. And this is a drier ink. Just throwing that out there as well. But I like it quite a lot. This is a medium nib, and I think that that's the perfect nib size for me. The next ink that is going to be in my Sailor ProGear is that ginger chicken I was talking about. Got a cat hair on it from Dominant Industry. If you can get this ink, I 10 out of 10 recommend. It's a little hard to come by because it is a exclusive from Wonder Pens. So America, you may have an issue with your shipping costs. But, you know, all is fair in love and war with fountain pens because we have to deal with that here in Canada for pretty much all fountain pens that we buy. This one is just lovely, though. So let's get into this. Okay. Now, I did just dip this, so it's much wetter than it normally is, but it's not that far off. This is a pretty wet nib, but like I said, I have had this nib tuned because I bought this pen secondhand. So the tines were very misaligned when I got this pen. You get a little bit more response than the slim, but still not a ton. But you can squeak out a tiny, tiny little bit if need be. But much like the slim model, this pen just writes the way that it should. Again, writes under its own weight, which is perfectly what you want. This is a medium fine nib, which you're going to see is pretty close to the regular medium. So there's not a ton of difference between the two. The fine nib, though, there's a big difference there. I don't really like Japanese fines. It's too fine for me, but that's neither here nor there. I think that there's not a super big difference, to be fair, between these two pens and how they write. They write pretty much the same. Like, hello, my friend. Hello, my friend. Yeah, they're pretty much the same experience. That's why I'm saying, like, it doesn't really matter that this one's 14 karat and that the ProGear is 21 karat. There really isn't a ton of difference. So, you know, if you're a fan of the smaller size, then don't fret by the fact that there's a different gold denomination, because it doesn't matter. And then we're going to get into this bad boy. Oh, and the ink in this pen is Sailor Manyo Fuji. Just so you all know before I forget, because you guys will definitely call me on it. This is a broad nib, so definitely a different experience than these two, but this pen is definitely wet. I like that quite a bit. Emmy did say that sometimes with the new Sailor nibs, they are a little bit drier, so keep that maybe in mind, but this one is definitely nice and wet. It also writes under its own weight, which is precisely what you want. And then the stunning thing about this is, like, it just, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. Like, it is in no way a flex pen. Do not flex this pen. But what that allows you to do is just, like, as you write, it really oh God, I don't even know how to, like shock absorbers on your car. That's the best way that I can explain it. It just flows with your hand. It just melds with your hand and just, oh, it makes me feel so good. It just makes me feel so good. And it really gives you a very different experience while writing with it, with that shock absorb feel. It's similar to the way that I describe the Pilot Custom 74. It has that too. This takes that though to the next level. And I think it's because the tines are so long that like it does give you that extra bounce. For me, the broad nib is a little too broad. I personally would get a medium or a medium fine. The broad's a little too broad for my personal writing size. But man, oh man, it writes like a dream, y'all. So really, end takeaways of this video. If you're struggling between a Sailor ProGear and a Sailor ProGear Slim, then honestly, take the nib out of the equation. Stop factoring in like, oh, this is a 21, this is a 14. It really does not matter in my experience. So take that nib out of the factor and just go on the size alone. Like I said, if you've used a Pelican M200 size or an M400 size and you think it's too small, then you know that this Slim is too small for you because they're pretty much identical. But these two pens, I really think, is going to be what most people are deciding between. I do truly, in my heart and soul, believe that the ProGear is going to be better suited for most people, just size-wise, than the Slim. But that said, it is also more expensive. Sailor is not a cheap brand. And certainly the King of Pens is just sky high, the price. So I think if you're in the market for a Sailor ProGear King of Pen, you've already got these two, to be honest. If the King of Pen is going to be your very first Sailor pen, then can I come work for you? Because wow. Phenomenal. I do recommend. It's just that price tag hits a little close to home. But I would recommend this every time for those who can afford it. So yeah, I think if you're deciding between a fountain pen, it's going to be between these two models. I would personally recommend the ProGear for me and for most, I think. But really, the end takeaway of this video is that just purely decide on the physical size of the pen alone, because the nib writing experience, guys, honestly, there's really no difference. So just go on the size itself. But that is basically the quick and dirty, and I say quick, this is not a quick video, but that's really the overarching themes of the differences between here. Could I get super nitty gritty? Sure, but I don't think that there's a necessary reason to go into that. Let me know in the comment section down below if you've used any or all three of these and what you guys thought. Do you agree with me that there's really no difference in writing experience of the nib alone from the Slim to the regular model? Do you disagree? Why not? All that good stuff in the comments section. While you're down there, do hit the like and subscribe. New videos come out every Monday and Friday and the occasional Tuesday. And if you've made it this far in, please check out the description. You'll find the link to my Patreon account. If you would help support me and what I do here, that would be awesome. But regardless of that, if you still watch this whole video, you are the reason I make these videos, and I'll see you next time.